Welcome back to Dragoon X Omega 2. This is the final dungeon and final boss of the game. Yes, we are going to head to the end of the game, barring any bonus content explorations that we may do in the coming weeks. This is being recorded at the very end of 2019. This game has been out since 2008 when this last release was done. And this recording has been a lot of fun to do. This is a great patch. I would definitely recommend playing it as a total conversion. The story has nothing to do or no real connection that I've been able to see with Final Fantasy I, of course. Just the engine components used to create the game and the graphics and the sound. The sound is all original compositions, as they're looking at, by Silver X themselves. So it's very cool to see on Silver X's website, which I will link in the description. They talk about their process of composing for games and working through the coding and programming. We'll see the thank yous to the people who helped make this patch as well in the credits, and of course the end of the game at the very end. So I'm going back from the catacombs. The last video was the catacombs. We are going to be going to the ice lab. I should put in an explanation that Sargon, as I recorded this, did not get the class change or the upgrade to the nanobots in Sargon's system. I've explained that before 2 videos ago. As I recorded this, I was waiting to bump into the class change mechanic, and I actually missed it and finished the game without going to the class change of Sargon, nor getting the level 8 Psi spells. So my battle with the Neverborn final boss coming up here in a little bit is going to be quite lengthy. It's going to be quite a grind. I do want you to be prepared for that. I will put some timestamps in there, description, so that if you want to jump around and watch the ending of the game, you can. So the railjet opens you up to the northern part of the game here, and the ice lab is going to be the gate to what we call the Ark. The EMP is an item that I'm going to need to get into the ice lab, and the source, you see the key item source there in the menu, is what's going to allow me to activate the teleporter to take me to the Ark. So here we are in the ice lab, though, and I'm just going to examine the first floor here for any treasures, anything notable, anything interesting. Of course, nothing there. The layout of this is, of course, has the quite futuristic sci-fi elements, but I do enjoy the, I guess you would call it a trope. The trope of ancient lost technology is very interesting to me. So the Vermis, I'm not sure if it's a gauntlet. I'm not sure what kind of equipment that is. It goes on, I think, your arm slot. Let me look up the stats on that. Oh, the Vermis is an implant. Makes Sargon resistant to stare when used as an item. The Lamina cures poison when used in a vital. Okay, the Fornix heals when used as an item. So I should have been trying more of those out, because those are implants that Sargon can wear. That's interesting. So those, it looks like most of them have abilities that you can use. The ones that don't have the any defensive bonus besides just the one, looks like they have resistances, heal, cure poison. Very cute, very cool. Very cool. So this is the place where the plague began. The plague is the unleashing of all of the monsters onto this new world here. And they were being brought by the Ark and coming out of the Ark before the Ark operation was shut down. So there's the EMP key item. So you can use the EMP to get down here to the lower part of the teleporter here, but unless you have the source of power to power the teleporter, you are not going anywhere. So this robot will tell us the Ark is like a world of its own. It said that it was once a great city. So again, the trope of lost technology comes up again, or ancient technology comes up again. I like to think about that as a pretty common through line for a lot of classic Final Fantasy games, going back to the very first Final Fantasy game, where you have the Lefianish people who had airships and flew around, the ancient Sky Warriors, and but the airship had been lost for a long time until the Light Warriors that take place in the game's present are able to get it up from the desert. So some money here at the end of the game. Another thing Final Fantasy 1 does is some chests in the final dungeon do have money. When money is not super important part of the game, I suppose I could leave now and go do some more shopping. So if you want to see some of the ways to upgrade your character, do watch the video called The Armory. It's 2 videos back in this playlist when you probably should get the upgrade. You pick up the nanite in the armory and bring that to one of the robots who can class change you or activate your microbots. And then you can get the level 8 and 7 Psi abilities. In this run that you're seeing here, I'm going pretty underpowered into the final battle because I don't have the highest powered Psi abilities, and I didn't have a good understanding of how weapons worked because I didn't have access to the comprehensive mechanics guide for this game. Silver X does make that available. There's the Argus armor. I do have that mechanics guide, so I can take a look at the Argus armor. No special ability, just a big defense of 64 and an evade % bonus of 19. The Myra armor, of course, halves Psi damage, and then it can cast Agnost when using an item. Agnost is a Psi that protects you from Psi abilities. It gives you 50% damage reduction on Psi abilities. So we're looking through our equipment here, trying to decide what we want to do. The Myra armor is super important here. But you can see at the time of this recording, I was like, okay, drop the Regal helmet. Hold on to that Myra armor, and we'll keep the new Argus armor in place of our spline armor. And the algorithms guide, I was glad I picked it up, but so you may see as I'm recording some of these earlier in my series, I'm making decisions that seem pretty questionable when you have access to the full guide. So I mentioned before that I might be playing this again in the near future, probably not right away. I'd like to do some other things with my gaming energies after finishing this up. So we are in the area of the arc, going down to the final areas. We're gonna try to meet the Neverborn, Tyrus, our friend, who did the old Garland backup in the armory, was giving us some lore as he was backing up, going up and up and up and up, and we fought Tyrus in the armory dungeon to pick up the EMP. And I'm going to be running from all of these battles. I'm not going to be doing much fighting here. There isn't a lot of grinding needed here. So spline helmet coming up. So here's where I'm looking at my equipment. I've got, ooh, cool, I just dropped my other helmet. I'm going to look at that again. I'm putting on the Myra armor, examining its defense and its evade. I can see that it's not doing a whole lot, and so here I am going to look at dropping the Myra armor, and I do. So that is a questionable decision, to say the least. That should be the armor I have on going into the final battle. But again, when I recorded this gameplay footage, I did not have access to the algorithms guide. So you're going to see this truly played like a blind player playing blind, playing a new game or a new patch of the game without any help. So in that way, it's I suppose been useful. I haven't been able to provide a really comprehensive full guide to this, but it's been helpful playing it like someone who hasn't played it. Okay, so the way to the Ark lies open before the one who holds the source. So now we can enter the Ark. And these are presumably the monsters of the plague on us here. Now, going through the Ark, there may be secrets or there may be things here in the Ark in this final dungeon that I miss, that I go by. A few things in this game have some kind of hard to see or hard to pick out areas to be examined. There's a lot more to be examined in this game than in FF1. There are a lot more secret tiles. There's more some of them are Easter eggs, some of them are pieces of lore that Silver X, one of the creators of the game, has been kind enough to put in the comments of some of the videos in this series here in 2019. So it's very interesting that I might be walking right past some things, and I hope that anyone watching this who has a more comprehensive knowledge of this game understands that I'm playing this just as a new player going through. I do like the red skulls there above those little niches, I guess you could say. And here I'm actually healing up because I'm not quite sure what's going to happen when I examine it. Nothing there. And I didn't examine the other one right there, and I can't go through this one. So, but there's a few places in this game where you have to really be examining things kind of closely and looking at more stuff to see, for example, the nanite that allows you to class change. Now here I can see we are in the stars. We're in space here in the Ark. We've got the background areas there have stars in them, and we are in some kind of craft. And running from these harloots. And really, in actuality, this has been a pretty short dungeon getting us up to, now we're going to do the Garland backup. So the Neverborn is talking about Nika. Nika was a character involved in the game's previous game who gave birth to the lineage that these people are a part of, and they're fighting over the Psi abilities today. It's not a very good explanation of who Nika was, but... So the nanos are the nanobots, but the Neverborn could not take full control of the child of Nika. And then only descendants of Nika's first child have these nanobots in them, and it's all connected with this Neverborn, who we are about to meet very shortly. And so now they seize control of those nanobots, and Tyrus feels like he has all the power doing the Garland backup, which is great. That is a really nice nod to FF1. It will give the Neverborn the power to take his body as well as his soul. He screams, and now we have two eyes waiting for us in the wall. I'm going to make sure that we have full health, and we're going to go into the battle with the Neverborn, bound to this Ark. And no matter the outcome, Sargon is going to die, child of Nika. So Sargon has the nanobots, and so Sargon is part of that lineage of Nika. Now let's talk about the Neverborn. The Neverborn is the final boss of this game. Yes, I was kind of surprised when I popped in here, because I was still looking for where I was going to class change. The Neverborn has 5,000 hit points. It gives no experience and no money when you defeat it. Its regular damage on its regular attack is between 80 and 160. So its regular damage is 80 to 160. Of course, your defense is subtracted from those hits, so you'll see it do less than that. It has plus 60 defense. So my railgun has to get over 60 defense. Auriga, which we'll see the Neverborn use a lot. The Auriga is a healing move, and the Auriga heals 50 to 200 health. So I am dealing with 5,000 hit points and occasionally healing 50 to 200 back, and 60 defense. Now I am using the railgun, and the railgun stats are, it has a damage of 60 to 120. 60 to 120, so it could really just do one damage if it lands. It can do 120, but it's going to get halved, so it's 60 is going to be its regular max. 60 is going to be its regular max. I can get criticals, which will ignore the defense if it works like if it works like FF1. I can get criticals, which will ignore the defense of the Neverborn and then have the damage doubled up. So that's where most of my damage is going to come from on the weapon. Here's where I am working on my Psi abilities. So I have plenty of spell charges, and I'm just looking to see what kind of damage I can do to this Neverborn. Here you can see I'm trying out Gene Rod. I'm trying out everything I've got. Gene Rod does 20 to 80 damage, and it's Psi damage. The Agnos spell, which I have not used yet in this battle, but I will be soon, reduces psi damage from enemies by 50%. And we can see it is using an ability that will take off my Agnos, which is called Dogma. So Dogma removes that protection. And it was actually the Neverborn gave me the hint to use Agnos. After I saw it continually using this Dogma ability that says removes Agnos, I went, oh, well, I wonder what Agnos does. Yes, I played through this game without really understanding what Agnos did. I had a guess that it reduced damage from certain kinds of psi abilities. I did not know that it was 50% across the board. I would have been using it a lot more in this game, that's for sure. So you can see Neverborn is using a few different abilities. There we just saw the Neverborn use Hyper. Hyper is one of its abilities. It has Stare, Bore, Auriga, Hyper, Dogma. So it doesn't do an attack very often, so it must have a pretty high value of using spells and abilities. Let's look up these. Hyper is just a big attack, 50 to 100. Bore does 45 to 180. Blast does 30 to 120. So it has a lot of those abilities. So this is just a slow grind down. I'm not gonna lie to you. Sargon is pretty underpowered. Sargon probably should be using higher level size. The last couple of psi attacks, Fusion, Blitz would be a good one, which acts like the fast spell. Nova, which is a single targeting 150 to 600 damage. Blitz would actually be really nice to use here as a level. I believe that's a level 7. A level 7 psi that gives you 1 extra hit per attack. So a couple of blitzes and then using the railgun here really should help the Neverborn fight, but I don't have access to those because I wasn't able to class change and learn them. Let me look and see if the Neverborn is Cyborg. No, it is not. The Neverborn is not Cyborg. So the Pulse Rifle, which I believe I dropped, would not be effective against the Neverborn. Or it wouldn't be super effective, I should say. So here is Sargon just attempting as best Sargon can to wear down the Neverborn. I didn't know how much hit points it had, nor did I know at the time what Auriga's power was. I didn't know if it was a full heal or how much it healed. By the way, you're seeing him use Stare. The Stare ability is it's a stun. It's a stun ability, renders one enemy stunned. It hasn't landed yet in this fight, but it will, and it's extremely dangerous. So there's the Auriga ability. You'll see Auriga pop up quite a few more times. The pill is healing Sargon, but if the Neverborn can land Stare and then can get in a couple of good hits, like even a couple of criticals, and Sargon's not able to wake up, it could be battle over. There was a nice critical hit from Sargon, and that's where a lot of my damage is going to come from in this fight, is from critical hits. I've done a lot of damage with my psis, but we are out of our psi abilities, and now it's just up to the railgun to overcome the huge defense of the Neverborn. Not to mention the railgun's rather low hit percent. It's low accuracy. The railgun is not super effective in its accuracy. But you can see I'm doing noticeable damage with it on a number of hits, 77 damage. And when the Neverborn does a regular attack on me, I'm able to exchange blows pretty positively. But as the Neverborn continues to use abilities that do a lot more damage, like Hyper, and uses Auriga to heal up life back, it doesn't say how much he gets back from using Auriga, but up to 200 is what he can get back, which can be several attacks from Sargon. Especially if the attacks are missing, like you'll see. But at 81 pills, and with good execution and conservative play, this was always probably going to be a victory as long as I can at least get some damage in on the Neverborn. So the Neverborn's 60 defense, gobbling up a lot of my damage there. So there's Dogma right there, which says removes Agnost. I know the message speed is set to its maximum speed, but it says removes Agnost. And there's where I think maybe I should start using Agnost if it has an ability that removes Agnost. And Psi defended, I think is what that says. So now we are protected from the damage of his Psi abilities. Not his regular attacks, but when he uses things like Hyper, and maybe it's Blast. I think it's one of the explosive Psi's, Boar, right there. That is chopped in half. So that Boar is much less effective. It's much less effective. Boar normally does 45 to 180, and there I saw it did, I think, 42, because it got halved on it. So it's 45 to 180 normally. It got chopped in half there by the Agnost. But every time the Neverborn uses Dogma, I have to reapply Agnost, and I only have a few more charges of it. And in the meantime, I need to just keep damaging it, trying to get as much damage in as I can, not knowing that this thing has 5,000 hit points that I need to get through. So right there, Stare has landed. Dogma has landed. It tried Stare again. It's got Auriga again. So thankfully, Neverborn did not go through a long sequence of offensive attacks. It actually did some kind of silly choices there. It healed itself. It tried to stun me again. And then I was able to recover from it and reapply Agnost, and it took Agnost off during the stun. So that was a pretty lucky sequence there for poor Sargon. That very easily could have been GG if he had done 3 or 4 offensive attacks in a row instead of all buff, debuff, and healing on himself. So these are the kinds of attacks I need. I need him to do 8 and me to come back and do, well, more than 14. 26 right there. So I can see that I'm doing good damage. I did not know how much Auriga was, but Auriga's always going to be at least 50. So if I can't land at least 50 damage between castings of Auriga, I'm not going to be on the positive side for sure. On the other hand, if I could get 200 in, then I will definitely overpower what one single Auriga can do. And yeah, I can't help but wish that I had the Blitz ability to give me the plus attacks so that I could get 2-3 hits maybe. I'm not sure how much they stack. I'll have to explore that if I do the bonus dungeons on another playthrough here. So I have to reapply Agnost, and I have now 3 castings of Agnost left. And at this point in the battle, as I was recording this on my first attempt, this was my first attempt at the fight, by the way. I don't know if I mentioned that. As I was recording this, it was about this time that I started to wonder if I needed to stop and reset the game, because it was going much, much longer than I thought any final battle should. Almost any battle with Chaos in Final Fantasy I will be over long before this much time has passed. An average battle with Chaos lasts maybe 3 or 4 minutes, maybe not even that, because you're either going to win the game, you're going to win quickly, or you're going to lose quickly. Even though Chaos has access to Cure 4, by that time in the game, you have access to the Masamune that can do massive damage, and even your single white mage can throw that Masamune on there and chop him up. Or if you're playing with TAS strats, you can land Fear on Chaos a bunch of times and have him run away. That's the TAS strategy for white mages in beating FF1. So Sargon doing a double heal now after a couple of really big attacks from the Neverborn. Knocked him down. I'm very nervous about Stair landing again, but the way Sargon is now, there's really nothing I can do about Stair. I need to just kind of be ready for it. I've got 3 castings of Agnost left. I'm about to apply one here. And as a spoiler alert to the end of the battle, I do end up burning through all of my Agnost charges and having to just go into, I guess what you call Hellbent mode, where I'm just attacking and healing, because I literally have nothing else to do. I have all the pills in the world that I need to restore, you know, like 300-ish, 2 to 300-ish hit points. And I have enough firepower to do at least what I think is stay on the positive side of damage of the Neverborn. Especially given that Agnost can chop those hypers in half and those boars in half. But I see I took another huge critical right there that gets through all my defenses. So the pill's gonna help me up here. Yeah, and little did I know that I could just use the Myra armor to continually cast Agnost in battle and keep myself out. With that Myra armor, cast Agnost when it's used as an item. So if I'm holding on to that, I could just go down to the item list and use that. So I could have a strong armor on my body. I could have like the Spline armor or the Argus armor. And then I could use the Myra armor to just continually apply that. That would be knowledge that would have been really helpful. Also knowing that those implants, like the Fornix, could heal when used as an item in battle. And not just and not just provide a little bit of defense. I was never quite able to figure that out. So you can actually make yourself resistant to stare with the Vermis implant. With the Vermis implant. Let me see what fall does, because you can also make yourself... Oh, you can make yourself invulnerable to fall. Very nice. And then, of course, the final armor makes you resistant to all. The Omega armor... Or, sorry, the Gamma armor makes you resistant to all. And have psi damage too. So the Gamma armor would be pretty handy to have here, but sadly we don't have access to it in this particular run through. And again, we're in Hellbent mode. If you've fell asleep in this battle, as I slowly plink down the final boss of this patch, we're barely staying on the positive side of damage. But we have plenty of healing items left. We're not even halfway through our supply of pills, and poor Sargon has taken a lot of pills this particular battle. When I run through this game again, with the knowledge that I have, the Neverborn fight will definitely be a lot faster. Not really from grinding, but just from understanding how to get access to all of the buffs and all the protections that I need. Even without the Gamma armor, using the Myra armor to reapply Agnost, using Blitz to give me multiple hits, using my weapons and equipment a little more judiciously will help a lot. That'll make this battle really flow a lot more smoothly. And the Neverborn is getting down in its life total. I'm about to apply my last Agnost here, so that's the last that you will see Sargon be protected. The Myra armor is not going to protect me in this battle here, because I very questionably dropped it. Now, luckily, as I was playing through this game, I do have a collection of save states going back through playing the game. So as I can go back and look at some of the side things, I can recover the Myra armor. I can recover the pulse rifle that I believe I dropped also. That does the massive damage to the cyborg enemies. That was recommended to me by SilverX themselves in the comments of one of my other videos, and you should definitely check those out. If you have been watching this series, SilverX has been commenting on the latter half of the series, I'd say. And I will have links in the description to this video to SilverX's site, where you can find the complete algorithms guide. There's also a link there where you can download the patch yourself. Ways you can get access to this game, because it is freely available if you have a ROM of Final Fantasy I. However you get that is up to you, but the patch is freely available, and all the resources on SilverX's site also freely available. So I'm hoping that this series might generate some renewed interest in this game. I've been, there's the last Dogma, so my last Agnost is gone. So, Shield, shield as a psi ability that I'm considering using there. The shield increases defense, just the physical defense, by 4 to 8. So it's not going to be incredibly useful here. It's not going to guard me from a status. It's not going to knock down that psi damage like the Agnost would. And so Agnost is gone. I'm done with charges of that. There's Boar, but thankfully Boar rolled at its very low value. There's 148 critical hits. So that was I guess you can call it an ideal round, where the Neverborn rolled low on its damage and Sargon rolled high on their damage. But there's a heal on the Neverborn. It'd be curious, I'm not going to do this work, it'd be curious to watch this battle and tally up how much damage Sargon actually does to the Neverborn in this particular fight, which is nearing the 20-minute mark now. It might maybe even more than that as we're talking through it here. It might be just over 20 minutes. I'm guessing it's going to be significantly more than 5,000. It may be up closer to 10,000, but again, I don't anticipate doing all that work of watching a 20-minute video and adding up all the plinky-plink damage that Sargon does to the Neverborn here. This battle will have a familiar-looking ending if you've played Final Fantasy I. And here's, I'm just taking a minute to just look at my the spell list and see if there's anything else that might be useful. There's Dogma. I'm attempting Shadow, and I'm attempting everything I can. Shadow boosts Sargon's evade percent by 4 to 8. So again, I could have stacked those up. That's kind of like the Invis spell or the Ruse spell. So we have kind of a Fog spell in Shield, and we have a Ruse spell in Shadow. Stare, of course, is paralyzed. I'm assuming that Neverborn resists that. I don't know if the bosses in this suffer from the same bug that bosses in Final Fantasy I do, of things that aren't supposed to hit landing on that 1 out of 201 attempts, that if they roll a 0 out of a 0 to 200 roll, that they actually will land. That's what lets you use fear to make chaos escape in Final Fantasy I. I don't know if these bosses have that same thing, that if I was to do a task of this game, could I land things like Stare on the Neverborn? We don't really have an instant death attack, nor do we have a fear type attack that we could land on the boss. Interesting thought. And you'll hear a lot of the battle theme. You've heard a lot of the battle theme over the last 20 minutes, and if you've been with me the whole time, then I salute you. My hat's off if you've been with me this whole time. Here's where I start to get hope, because there is a 200 damage crit on the Neverborn, and I'm wondering just how much hit points could this thing have. But a 200 damage crit right there got me really, really pumped at trying to just throw as much damage as I could, as quickly as I could now. 73 is another good hit. I don't know when the next Auriga might be coming. There's Boar. Again, Boar rolling on the lower side. Rolling on the lower side of what it can do. Boar 45 to 180. So when it's in that 50 to 60 range, that's a lot better than over 100, which it certainly can do. There's Hyper rolling on the high end of what it can do. 81, so I know we are getting close. And you can see on the timestamp of this video that we must be getting close. If this has the end of the game and the epilogue in it, you must know that we are on our way there. A series of good hits here probably let me finally outpace the Aurigas as they were coming in. And Neverborn using Hyper and some of its offensive attacks a little bit more has helped as well. I'm not sure how the mechanics of this game have enemies going through their list. It just used Hyper, then Stare. I'm not sure if it goes through the list sequentially like it does in Final Fantasy 1. No, so it does not. Or looking at the list on this one, Hyper should be Dogma, then Stare. So there must be some change in how enemies go through their lists of spells and abilities because they don't go sequentially. For example, Chaos in Final Fantasy 1 goes through its spell list in order. So you know that Cure 4 is going to be the fourth spell that it uses. And it also has a table of abilities. So it checks for spells, then it checks for abilities, and if it doesn't do either of those, then it attacks. So it'll go through its spell list in order. So you can see, like, uh-oh, here comes Ice 3, here comes Slow 2, and then you know, I'm not sure if it's Ice 3, but Slow 2 is in there. And then you know Cure 4 is coming up soon. But things like Swirl and Crack that Chaos uses, those are abilities, which are a different table than the spell list. Very interesting how it was put together to give enemies kind of a very wide range of things they can do and make them kind of seem like they're really throwing a lot of different things at you when there's really just a couple different lists that they're pulling moves from. I don't remember off the top of my head as I'm recording this what the damage value was that was the finishing blow. It would be pretty funny if it was one of those less than 30 damage attacks, knowing that I was able to get this thing down. It'd be almost anticlimactic if Sargon hit a big 200 damage critical to finish the job. I think the way to win this battle is with a plink, because that's certainly been the way we have gotten to where we are now. So I've had two 72s in a row. He comes back with a 4, which is excellent. He comes back with a 4, which is excellent. There's a 14 back from him, though, sadly. And 87 looks like was our winning hit. And there was the da-na-na-na-na-na-da-ba-dum. Although it was, of course, the stops. And then instead of playing out the battle victory theme, we have the fading away with the shaky screen. Now, this is where it should look familiar to you if you've played Final Fantasy 1. Boom. This is exactly how Chaos fades away. And it wasn't until this moment that I realized that we were indeed at the end of this game, that we were indeed at the end of Dragoon X Omega 2. I was still wondering with the Neverborn battle when we were going to find our class change. So, as the Neverborn told us all that time ago, the Neverborn is connected to the Ark. So if the Neverborn dies, it blows up the Ark. So either way, Sargon is not going to make it. The nanocolonies in the people self-destruct. So now that the shadow of evil is gone, the people take on the last of the beasts of the plague. They rid the world of the last of the darkness, and the people of the two countries, Hylas and Merca, rejoice. And we start to recover from the long scourge of the Ark and the nanobots and the Neverborn. And the lives of the people were good after many centuries, and Sargon, of course, died in this explosion, which rather resembles, this kind of looks like Super Metroid in a way. I wonder if that was a deliberate nod to Super Metroid that was put together here by the programmers of this game. The name that was revered by all for millennia to come, that of Sargon. That of our hero, Sargon. The epilogue music is very cool. I very much enjoy it. Silver X, the composer of this game. Dragoon X Omega 2. Here are the credits. We get to see the programmers and the helpers. So Thaddeus is one of the two credited designers of this game. Thaddeus is one. If you go to romhacking.net, Silver X is the other primary person who is credited on this game. Thaddeus and Silver X, they are both on the title screen of the game, but there are some more people that we need to say thank you to. Gavin, shout outs to Gavin, whoever you are on YouTube at the end of the year 2019. probably won't ever see this one, but if you do, shout outs to you. Here's some other helpers. Bitmaster, Dark Days, Kapow, Silver X, missed that last one. There's a shout out to Nasir Gabelli, who was the programmer of Final Fantasy 1. It just said programmed by Nasir, Nasir. Here's some more shout outs to some other people who helped with the game. So I know who one of these people are. They're still active. Grand is another notable Final Fantasy 1 hacker. I'm sure the other characters credited here helped out to make the game happen. Based on Final Fantasy 1, of course, hacked into Final Fantasy 1. Very beautiful. And that is Silver X's website right there. So this says 2006. I believe the final version of this game was released in 2008. Panicus.org is the website where you can find the all the guides to this game and all the resources. Thank you, Silver X and Thaddeus and company, for making this game. I know it says thank you for playing, but I'd like to give them a big thank you for making this patch. And so it ended, and so it will end. But it was very, very nice playing this game. I have to apologize for the drawing out of the end graphic here. I believe that this is a product of playing on the Open Broadcaster, or sorry, the Open EMU on the Mac machine. Way back in the beginning, I talked about attempting this using a Mac machine and its capabilities of gameplay and recording of a Romhack, and I was not very happy with the tools available for free anyway for Mac right now. So that is the end of Dragoon X Omega 2. Thank you again for watching. If you have liked any of the videos in this series, give me a thumbs up, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel if you'd like to, or hit me up on Twitter where I am also active _ATE. We will see you next time.